Okay, welcome to the 2026 Winter Turn-by-Turn. This year, we're just doing an out-of-the-box scenario, so this is a slightly tweaked version of the metal-on-metal scenario from Final Blitzkrieg, or rather, the one which has Pershings versus Tigers. This was quite a cool opening shot, but you guys won't be able to hear because I'll mess with the volume in editing, but I can only hear engine right now, so I'm going to zoom out a little bit. I'll turn the icons back on. So that, if you haven't seen one of these turn-by-turns before, that should also give you a little bit of an introduction of what this is like. So this is not an highly edited video. This is me playing the game, complete with all the mistakes and the frustrations and the stupidity and everything else that goes wrong. But you actually get to see the sausage being made, as it were. Back to the scenario, we've got quite a lot of fun toys to play with. I thought it had been a long time since we did a tank battle, so this is very tank focused. So on the Germans, we have a load of Tigers, back to the Tigers, we have a load of Panthers. They're all Panther Gs off the top of my head. None of the ones with the chin mantlet though, which is, I'm sure will end well. Then we have some Panzer 3Ms for Recce, which, yeah, okay, sure. And some Panzer Grenadiers in the half-tracks. So they're only the little Panzer Grenadier squads because it's like 1945 and everything sucks because you're German now. Each platoon has one of these Scudder 251-17s, which have the 20mm cannon on the roof, which might be useful. I mean, all the American half-tracks have M250 cals on top, and they're much better than the MG42s that the half-tracks are rocking. But anyway, we also have some Recce. Well, the Panzer 3s are part of the Recce, but we also have some Recce teams, which are in Schwimmwagens. So they get bonus style points. I suppose if things are really bad, they could reverse towards the enemy infantry with the propeller going or something. There isn't really any actual water features for them to cross on this map. Then we have an FO, who's around here somewhere in his own little mini half-track, the 250. And on call, we have some artillery, so 2 6-gun sections or platoons of Wesps, so 105s, with 192 rounds each. That's almost a sensible amount of ammunition. I won't go into the details of the planning and the terrain, except to say that it's obviously quite snowy. We have a mix of... It's kind of rolling open farmland with some wood blocks, and we've got some individual farms, which are mostly the objectives. There is some ground, some slope. I'm trying to think of a good name for this, and I can't work it out. There is some contours to play with here. But they are going to be quite difficult to judge in the because everything's covered in snow. So, if you haven't twigged from the units we have lining up, on the other side we have a load of Pershings, some Sherman Easy 8s, and Chaffies, plus FOs, Recce, and infantry, armoured infantry, and half-tracks and things. If the presence of Tigers and Pershings and Panthers on the same battlefield at this stage in the war in such numbers doesn't already tip you off, this is not a historically accurate scenario. The chances of the Germans getting this much armour together in this smaller space without any of it running out of fuel or breaking down or being savaged by Allied tactical air power seems pretty slim to me. And on the other side, the idea that the Allies would be gagging for a very risky, casualty-intensive tank battle at this stage in the war, where they could just sit there and say, you know what, we're just going to stay here and get the Air Force to fix this for us. Also quite slim. So basically, we've just got a load of toys and we're mashing them together here. So that doesn't mean that it's not particularly valueless. Obviously, from a combat mission perspective, this is all about, you know, showing off how I play the game, and you know, you have all the old combinations of orders and how I'm looking for what effect we've had on target and what positions to use and all that jazz. But it's also, despite being ahistorical, it's a good kind of tactical primer. So this kind of thing will probably never happen. There are far too many tanks in far too small a space for this. It's not a gigantic map. How big are we looking at? Yeah, so it's about 1800 by 220. So not a lot of space. But the reality is that this kind of artificial situation allows you to do a kind of like rapid tactical iterations. So I'm going to have more decisions to make. That means I'm going to get more reps in at making those decisions, and we're going to get all kinds of circumstances that would be less likely to pop up if we had a more realistic setup. So, with all that in mind, all of these forces are not on the map at the start of the game. We have a couple of waves of reinforcements, but you'll be glad to know, when I get my clipboard with all the names that I can cross off on, that we have got all the names in. So this is the Adopt a Pixeltruppen Initiative, which it's too late to sign up to now. And every year, people, subscribers, members, etc. can sign up and get their name in the game. And because there's 5 Pixeltruppen per tank, we've been able to get quite a lot of people in this year. So, you may have noticed a slight little edit there, because I got halfway through doing the Tigers and realised that the order I had on my piece of paper here did not match up to the order of the tanks. So we've now fixed that. And we're just going to start at the top of the force selector and plus and minus our way through so we don't miss anything. So, names for the Adopt a Pixeltruppen Initiative. This is the Panzer Battalion HQ, which is commanded by Sotomo up in the TC seat there. His gunner is Ferrapido, the driver is Jules, the loader is Reese Dignan, and the radio operator / bow gunner is Dubinsky. The 2IC, or Battalion 2IC, is Atlas Actual. His gunner is GLG, his driver is Cooley, the loader is Some Guy Who, and the number 5 in there is Sean Kong. So we've got some familiar names in there. Everybody can die in exciting new ways in 1945 this time. Then we have 5 Company. These companies are a bit cut down, and they don't start with 1 because that's to do with combat missions naming conventions for subsequent units. Anyway, the 5 Company IC is Itchy Scoop. His gunner is Nicholas, his driver is Alars de Jong, his loader is Gar, and his number 5 in the bow gunner seat is Michael Burjolt. And again, I will mispronounce all of these, so you'll just have to live with that. In the 2IC for 5th Company is commanded by Steve 8318. The gunner is Railgun Lovebites, who, well, it's not a railgun, but the long 75 is pretty good. It's a pretty good gun. The driver is Hands Off, who is hopefully not going to drive hands off. The loader is Cam Sin, and in the number 5 seat we have La Ronche. Moving on to 1st Platoon, so this is 5-1, or 5-1 HQ. the HQ tank for... I don't know. I'm going to get confused over these things. Anyway, it's commanded by Sergeant Bagel. The gunner is Rocker, the driver is Dirty Burke. The loader is Martin 1185, and the driver is Boreali K. And the first platoon, 5th Company, 1st Platoon, 1st Tank, so 511, is commanded by Jimmy Changa. The gunner is Mosh, the driver is Goobert, the loader is Ninja Socks, and the radio operator is Rubino. And then 512, in a slightly different mark of Panther G, because it's got a slightly more interesting camo on, is commanded by Matthew Zaleski. His gunner is Jacob Parsley, the driver is Von Reberson, the loader is Damocles, and number 5 is Mark Schultz. Moving on to 5-2 HQ, so the HQ tank for 2nd Platoon, 5th Company. We have Wubba Lubba in the tank commander's seat. The gunner is Donarino, the driver is Oddball. I really should have gotten Oddball into a Tiger. The loader is Poppin' Fresh, or Poppin' Freur. I don't know if that's a typo, I'm just going to call you Poppin' Fresh, it's easier. And the number 5 is Sumatra. 521 is Big Chief. His gunner is Rob 12345. The driver is Herr Christian Hauptmann. The loader is Corgi. I love the idea that there is an actual Corgi trying to load the 75. That's hilarious. And the number 5 is Horthan. Then 522, the last of 5th Company. They're not very big companies. The TC is Casey, the gunner is Deatrax, the driver is Chop Chop, which is actually pretty suitable, come to think of it. The loader is Adler 6768, and the number 5 is Smooger. Moving on to 6th Company. The company HQ is VSES 9307. The gunner is Don't Panic, the driver is Edgerton, the loader is Wasszak, I'm not spelling that correctly, and the number 5 is Barend. The 6th Company 2IC is the Duke of Dopamine, the gunner is Moses Shrevnitz, the driver is Nils de Grue, the loader is Cheese Deploy, and the number 5 is Sparra. So 6-1 HQ, or HQ tank for 1 Platoon 6 Company, is Starch Addict, the gunner's Banana Healer, the driver is Duncan Walpole, the loader is Hair Pump Shack, and the number 5 is Sidewinder Noir. 6-1-1, we have Eldar in the TC seat, the gunner is Snack Bar, the driver is Ban Ki-moon in his alternate early profession, I guess. The loader is Matty Banks, and the number 5 is Jonathan Phillips. And then 6-1-2, we've got Colby Simpson in the tank commander's seat. The gunner is Colin Stroganoff, the driver is Stem Roach, the loader is Palmer, and the number 5 is Will L. In 6-2 HQ, we have Dead Panic up top. The gunner is Tin Peck, the driver is Avtomat, the loader is Juco Ducks, and the number 5 is Jduck. I don't know if that's a typo. I can't remember if I've spelt that wrong, or if that's what somebody actually put. For 6-2-1, we've got Andrew Wiggins. His gunner is Accidental Italian, the driver is Daisy Man, the loader is Richard Burrow, and we've got Lieutenant QWERTY in the ball gunner's seat. Then the last of the Panthers, 6-2-2, we have Zook in command. His gunner's Preston Pierce, the driver is AG88. Really should have put him in the driver's seat, then he could do the whole aimbot thing. The loader is Evan Ward, and then we have Chef Marcus in the number 5 position. So after the Panthers, we've got a company's worth of... Oh, sorry, this is the reconnaissance guy. So the first couple of elements of this are on Reinforcement Group 7, and they don't actually turn up, so they didn't get named. So that's the HQ, the half-track, and the 2IC, the HQ support team, and another half-track. So that starts us off with the Panzer IIIs, are on another sheet of paper. There we go. So, in the first Panzer III, these ones don't have drivers, because I actually had more places than names at this point. So, in command we've got Jordan C001. The gunner's Tiger Bunny 68, the driver is Lucas Schneckenhurter, and the loader is Hans Truppen. I should really go and... Actually, I don't think I can name the individual tanks. That could get confusing. This Panzer III is led by Admiral Corro, or commanded by. The gunner is Stardeck, the driver's Ghost Eye, the loader is Alpha Pretzel. The third Panzer III, we've got Von Clare as the TC. The gunner is Brofest, the driver is Jastra, the loader is Toast Puppy. Also, we got, like, that's now 2 dogs acting as tank loaders, which is fascinating. The fourth one, we have Eric 96 commanding, a super edgy extreme lord in the gunner's seat. The driver is Sclavian and the loader is Hyenadai. The last Panzer III, we've got 5 of them, is Proximal in the commander's seat, a Kappa as the gunner, Ike Cooper driving, and Tubmaster General as the loader. Moving on, we have the scouts. So we have 3 3-man scout teams in the Schwimmwagens. And the Schwimmwagens all have drivers. So the first team is led by Jeff Brown. And also there we have M81 Igniter and El Dude, and they're being driven around by Fax 2. The second scout team is led by... Hang on, no, that's not the second one, that's the third one. Yeah, there we go. The second one is led by Urban. Richard Nixon is in there, also presumably getting some experience in his earlier years. And Sturb Schnell, and they're being driven around by FJ. Then the last one, like we said, we got Pelican Taco in command. I say command. I think that's like a Gefreiter, or maybe if I'm not up on my German ranks. Okay. But he's in charge of Blackbird and Pixeltruppen Tim, and they're being driven around by Hammer Time. That brings us round to the Panzer Grenadiers. We've got a company. So Panic Evergreen is the company commander. The 2IC is Franic Dolus. They're being driven around by Zeze. This is the closest I can get to a truck. And El Bastardo 1891. Moving on to the first platoon, we have Steve Schaefer. He's been driven around by Andrew Offen. Actually, I'm not sure if the gunner or the driver is in charge of the half tracks. It might be the gunner. We'll see when somebody gets killed. And then the actual Panzer Grenadier squads, we have Sleeping Bag, Tom Steele, and McGruff, and they're being driven around by Jeff, Tubius Maximus, and Zero Budget. 2 platoon, we have Chodesta in the platoon HQ. Frontline Infantry commanding the first squad. Then we have Squad Tech and Corporal Rusty Spitfire leading the other squads, and they're being driven around by Verrückter Penguin, another comeback, Silent Thunder, Scrugnus, and Roosh. And then the third platoon we have Ventura von der Swamp, leading No Need Last Name, Left-Headed Pug, should have been a loader obviously, and Swag Gaming, and they're getting driven around by Uni, Salami Pants. This half-track has the Udda in it, both 1 and 2, and then we have Toothpick driving the last 251. The actual squads are only 8 men, so there are a couple of empty seats in each half-track, but we've got just one MG42 in there. Not a tremendous amount of firepower, but seriously, I don't think firepower is going to be a problem in this, given all the tanks. Anyway, that brings us to the FO team. We have an FO team. That is Luke Frame, Boone, and Bandar in there. And they're being driven around by that guy named Dan in their little baby half-track. I guess a baby half-track is really like the Kettenrad. This is like an adolescent half-track. Whatever. That brings us round to the Tigers. And back to page number 1. We're nearly there. So in the Tiger Company HQ tank, we have Stucker in command. His gunner is John Farrelly. The driver is Ray L. The loader is Gartic. And then we have Mechanic Zico in the number 5 seat. The 2IC for the Tiger Company is Raw. His gunner is Gunsling. The driver's Mr. 9 Million. The loader is Japs. And we have Jacob Saraletta in the radio operator position. I want to say Scaletta for that last time. I'm really sorry. See, I'm getting confused with these again. Just going through it like this. Yeah, so there's a third tank attached to the company HQ. This is commanded by Mark Cholton. The gunner is Mutul Dutul. The driver's Kiro Miyayame. I'm not going to pronounce that correctly. The loader's Kevin Garrison, and then we have Cheese Shogun. Obviously, a couple of Japanese allies in this tank. He's in the number 5 seat. If we go back through the tanks, we can now get back to the actual platoons. So we've only got 2 platoons, so we've got 13 Tigers in total. So first platoon HQ is Hutch. His gunner is the Flying Fish. The driver is Throckmorton. The loader is James WB100, and then we have Crispix in the number 5 position. Hopefully that's not an excessively prophetic name, but if you've done this before, everybody dies and will become crispy. So 1-1, we have Ben Keller in the TC seat. The gunner is Corbin von Hoffman. The driver is El Jefe. The loader is Folin, and General Nonsense is operating the radio, which is probably quite accurate. 1-2 is Cusack. His gunner is Kitty Cat. Had to be in a Tiger for that. The driver is Whisperlocks. The loader is Shaggy, and Lol Rufflecakes is manning the whole machine gun. 1-3 is Peanut, the inestimable, amazing golden Peanut. His gunner is Faust Sparrow. The driver is Michael Saltzman. The loader is Grim, and there's Dabiers, presumably no relation to the Gemstone people, in the number 5 spot. 1-4 is commanded by the Royal Cabbage. The gunner is Ollie G. The driver is Jimmy Longbottom. The loader is Solitary Auto, which is amusing. And then we have Euclid in the number 5 spot. Third platoon, or second platoon rather. Platoon HQ is Dreadhead. This is not a bad name for a tanker. The gunner is Benny von Klinkerhoffen, who is probably trying to get his hands on some kind of painting. That's another reference that some of you might get. The driver is Wiener Schutzen. The loader is Valeri. And then we have Shrimp Olympics in the number 5 spot. 2-1 is commanded by Ace Hardcastle, which is an awesome name, but they're green experience, so I don't know how well that's going to pan out. His gunner is the Arctic Saint, the driver is Pizza.gov, the loader is Schutzer. It is a job for a Schutzer, I guess. And the radio operator is Braden Atkinson. In Tiger 2-2, we've got Master Stew up in the TC seat. His gunner is Maisie Isolated. The driver is Sherude841. Sherude, I don't know how to pronounce that. The loader is Max Sox, and then we have Carlos Zig working the radio. Tiger 2-3 is commanded by Duck. The gunner is Requin87. Go check out Requin87's channel. The driver is Dinkus Cerilius. The loader is Skating Pixeltrupp, and then we have Garker in the number 5 spot. Finally, our last one in Tiger 2-4, we've got Douglas von Kuhlmann commanding Gestro Merthafan. Another one I'm not going to be able to pronounce properly. In the gunner's seat, the driver is Gruntbuster, the loader is Egler, and then the friendly neighborhood morale officer in the 5th spot, operating the radio and the bow gun, we have Surrender McPessimist. Joke's on you, I seriously doubt you're going to be able to have a chance to surrender. So that's all the names. I do have a few other names that came in after I inputted them all into the force selector. I'm just going to keep a secondary list of them, and as unnamed Pixeltruppen die off, we'll just go down the list one by one, which is similar to what we did with the Persian predicament. So that's the force. Lots of tanks. We've got some tank country to play with. With all that out of the way, we better come up with some kind of plan. And via the magic of editing, here we are. This is the deployment phase. You'll notice there's a considerably smaller tank force here. We just have the Recce Schwimmwagens, the FO, the 5 Panzer IIIs, the Tiger Company HQ, and one of the company HQs from the Panthers. So this is actually kind of good news, because I have had like a little bit of a poke around the map, and yeah, I think it's going to be better if we develop the situation first and find out what terrain is going to be important here, because it's kind of hard to eyeball. So I usually start off by, you can sometimes get a really good idea of how a battle is going to develop by just looking at the terrain and judging, where forces are going to come into contact with one another and how things are going to go from there. And then we can start thinking about avenues of advance and fields of fire and kill zones and where I want to be and what the important terrain is going to be. And we've actually kind of made that a little bit difficult here by going for snow, because if we get down here, it starts getting quite difficult to really judge the contours, like the lie of the land. I can't remember if I talked about this already. It's actually the day after the last bit got recorded. So obviously we're starting over here in the Reds, and Limbo and the Americans are starting over here. So if we look at it from that kind of perspective, we zoom out a bit, we've got a reasonably symmetrical objective layout. And then on the north side of the map, each side has 2 woods outside its deployment zone, and then we got this wood in the middle. Then we have a kind of a strip here which has the autobahn, the road, and this is a railway line. Then we get the other three objectives down the middle: Auerhof, Rheinkampf, and Wendhof. Then there's autobahn west and east. So I think these three are going to be the important ones. I think the Allies have a slightly better time here. If we think about them coming out of this corner, cutting across the railway line down here, then they have, they're on the other side of, well, they're definitely on the other side of some slope. How much is kind of tough to tell. Oh, yeah, definitely would want to get some kind of tank or something over here, I think. In defilade behind this wood, or if he can get inside, maybe about here, something like that, to try and isolate that objective, just cover off this big chunk of open ground there. I don't really have the same thing going on. Like, I could potentially get a tank up here, but, well, A, the terrain is less kind, and B, we're not really in a position to work the cutoff, so yeah, I'm not 100% sure exactly where I want to go, which is why where the Panzer IIIs and the Scouts go is probably going to be really critical. Those objectives feel like they're a long, long, long way away. So, key places I want to be, I feel a lot like in this wood block, and these two objectives is probably going to be key. Offensively, at least. And holding on to these two woods, or stopping the enemy getting past these two woods, is probably going to be critical defensively, because as we get more forces coming in, obviously I'm going to want to funnel them to where the action is, and not be sending them over here to cover off this ground here. Because, I mean, this is a bit of a... we've got some open ground here that we might be able to dominate. Maybe. Who knows? But there's no point really holding it. It's not really... it doesn't have good eyes, good fields of fire onto the objective, or the routes that the enemy are going to be taking to that objective, so I think I need to weight myself left here. Which, I mean, should be entirely doable because of the ground, right? So I can't see the enemy particularly well from down here, but also means that he can't see me that well. Might be worth getting somebody in here. But yeah, I mean, here I am, like, picking out positions for individual tanks, This is like a multi-company engagement. So yeah, ideally what I want to do is I want to dominate, like, this ground here. And stop him advancing, but that's kind of a pain because of the ground, so... even getting up here doesn't help because you can't really see very well over there. So I'm not 100% sure what to do. I'm not even 100% sure exactly where I want to send my scouts off to. I mean, there are some obvious places. I probably want to get somebody into Auerhof. So that can be Fax 2 and Jeff Brown's scout team. They can rush off over there in their Schwimmwagen. See, now I'm looking at it and I'm like, if we're going all the way over there, why don't we stick ourselves in this wood? Relatively good field of fire from there. We can always wait until we get this far. The other thing going for that is that I have to cross this stream, and I know it's the Schwimmwagen, but it's not that good at crossing terrain. And yeah, I don't think there's actually, like, we can get up in the top floor of this building. We can't see anything looking this way. This way, we can't see much, and we're looking at my flank essentially. So yeah, actually, I think we'll skip going across the stream, and we'll try and zip through here and deposit Jeff Brown over there in that wood. We definitely need to get on road with somebody. The road is actually going to be really important because you're going to get so much more speed from the wheeled vehicles on road. And yeah, if we get to this point, I feel like I should probably put a tiger here just to cover off that angle. Let's get over here into that wood there. Probably these are quite long orders. This is urban and being driven around by FJ there. Those are quite long orders, but I think that's going to be okay because the tiger or panther, regular or regular, Spooker or Itchy Scoop. I feel like the Tiger Company HQ is probably more important than the Panther Company HQ because I have not as many companies. Also, we need to open up so we can actually see stuff. It should be okay. And where's the key point for looking down the road going to be? Should be able to get hull down. That's partial, so we can come back a little bit. Oh no, it's still 1,200 meters. That's quite a long way. Yeah, the final Pelican, Taco, and Hammer Time doing the final scout team. Where do we want to go? I think we need to watch this flank. So maybe slashing ourselves in here. We got a relatively good view-ish. Bit of a keyhole going there. You can cover Auersdorf from there. Could be a relatively safe position for the Tiger Company HQ to just set up shop. He said, getting it killed. You can sort of see off over there. Now this is what I mean. There's like some very fragmentary kind of line of sight, which is quite difficult to judge. Really not sure about where I want the FO to go. Like I say, I feel like I want those to I kind of really want to be able to bombard these 3 farms. See, being up on if these trees weren't here, this would be fine, but they are here. That means I can't see anything. You're losing the elevation. Maybe with the pants, with the tiger. That doesn't look good either. Maybe they'd be okay here. They can see Rheinkampf. Oh, so I need to think about what I actually want to do. With the artillery, I'm going to have 12 tubes of 105 with a reasonable amount of ammunition. They're going to come in 5 minutes. So I need to think about exactly what I want to do with them. See, this wouldn't be a bad position if it weren't for the fact that Western Rheinkampf and Auerhof, for that matter, are on the other side of some big chunky woods. So. What about from up here? No, can't really see that much. I think I might be looking for some kind of some kind of like perfect position here that doesn't exist. So yeah, on this corner, I think is where we're going to go. That leaves us with the Panzer IIIs. Where do we want to send the Panzer IIIs? Well, let's send Von Clare off this way. Or in fact, let's get him behind Itchy Scoop. So we're going to have ourselves a bit of a column here. And he can just keep going straight on over the railway line there. And oh, that's probably a little bit risky going that way. Might be a bit smarter finagling ourselves into the edge of that wood there. I mean, we're up against the Chaffies, and they are pretty snappy. Well, let's get all them opened up. Everybody open up. Who have we got next? Jordan C. I really hope that using the road pays off here, because I feel like it could probably do this a bit quicker doing it some other ways. Yeah, should be alright-ish going that way, I think, maybe. Let's get to here and see where we go from there. So the other three, Admiral Corot. Let's bring you through that same gap and send you to Auerhof. Behind that Schwimmwagen. Which I'm a bit less confident about, but from that courtyard you can sort of cover a few different directions? Maybe not. Well, let's go for that anyway for now. Proximal and Eric 96. Well, let's get Eric to follow Pelican Taco and Co. Maybe, yeah, maybe slot into this little dip here. That might be a pretty good position. Yeah, that leaves us with Proximal. Who I think... well, let's send him up this way, get him nice and central. Oh, there's a bloody stream there, isn't there? I'm just going to send him. Let's send Proximal over here behind this little farm. He can be our kind of immediate reserve. And if I can think of any... Or do I want to send him all the way over here? I mean, it's a 50mm gun, right? It's a bit crap. So I don't think he'd be that useful up here, except for spotting. And I don't think a Panzer III is anything like amazing in the spotting department. Maybe that's where I should send the Tiger. I mean, we looked at it and it was disappointing. But he would also be kind of out of the way. Is this all... Yeah, this is the heavy woods that we can't go in, but over here is acceptable. We could stash him in there and sort of cover off this flank a little bit-ish, maybe. Definitely want some eyes over here. I don't know, we'll see. I can change my mind. So yeah, I think that might be about it. So what are we... Let's have a look. What are we covering? We're sending scouts off to Rheinkampf, this corner here, and this corner here. The FO is coming over here. The Tiger is going to be in this gap here, and could pivot to cover like those two directions with a bit of cover. The Panther is going to get on the road, and I know it sounds like the Panther's going to get more stick than the Tiger here, but the Panther's also got better armor at the front. And then we have, what, a Panzer III here and a Panzer III in there, one in there, one over here, and one in reserve. Yeah, and okay. That should be alright, I think. Watch them all get bogged. So 15 minutes, we'll get a load of Panthers, 8 Panthers, a Tiger, and 2 Panzer Grenadier platoons, and probably the 3rd platoon, because we added that in. Half an hour we get more tanks, and then 35 minutes we get a couple more. So, yeah. Yeah, what's with the objectives? What are you, occupy 5 objectives for 100 each, and then kill things for another 5 for a total of 1,000. Yeah, that's fine, that's fine, that's fine. Yeah, I think that's we're as ready as we're ever going to be. It does say that it's going to be 1 hour 30 on the clock. I don't think we're going to get that far. I think it's just going to be carnage. Line of sight permitting. I think the interesting thing here is going to be the way that the distances and line of sight interact. That's probably going to be the dominant feature because the Pershings, the tigers, and panthers can pretty much both kill each other. Even at quite long range, the Easy 8s can get killed by the tiger and the Sherm and the panthers, and the Chaffies and the Panzer 3s are kind of like, yeah, maybe in with a shot if they get on the flank, maybe less so the Panzer 3s. But yeah, the first thing we need to figure out is what Limbo's going to be doing, and go from there. So yeah, let's just press that button and send off turn number 1, which is actually file number 3 because things. This is just going to end in tears.